we are here to understand what it is about our astrological practice that needs to be updated. We're going to talk about gender. We're going to talk about gender specifically in charts, and we're going to talk about how to approach people with variant gender coming in as clients or families of clients. And we're going to look at some charts. Now, I've been saying this to Marcella just before. A lot of us are bewildered by the fact that traditional astrology is binary. But we have to remember that even traditional astrology is not ancient astrology. Ancient astrology is Sumerian and Assyrian, Babylonian, and Egyptian astrology. And back then, there were different genders and there was a different gender approach. It was only when cis, white, privileged European males took over with the patriarchy in the Middle Ages in Europe that astrology became so binary as it is today. And here we are in the age of Aquarius, understanding old knowledge that was once lost and is brought forth from the heavens to earth again. So what is gender? And I took Wikipedia as the most mainstream source we could take it. We could take a definition from. Just trying to make some space here because this is taking over my screen. So yeah. Gender, according to Wikipedia, is the range of characteristics pertaining to and differentiating between masculinity and femininity. Depending on the context, these characteristics may include biological sex, i.e. the state of being male, female, or intersex, sex-based social structures, i.e. gender roles or gender identity. And as we know, most cultures today use a gender binary, which means two genders, boys, men, or girls, women. Those who exist outside these groups fall under the umbrella of non-binary or gender queer. Some societies, and when we say some societies, we're talking about more traditional, ancient, native societies, have specific genders besides men and women, such as the Hijras or the Native Americans or people in South Asia. These are often referred to as third or fourth genders. When we were all taught astrology, we were taught a binary system. It was either male or female. And the signs were alternating between male and female signs. Aries was male, Taurus was female, Gemini was male, Cancer was female, and so on and so forth. We now need to update this into extroverted or introverted signs. But through this presentation, I would still be using the old terms of masculinity and femininity. Just want you to know that I myself in my practice have updated these terms into introverted and extroverted. What I want to suggest that we are no longer in that binary black and white world. It is a colorful world with a plethora of identities. We can see people identifying as gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, asexual, pansexual, and so on and so forth. And when we walk into this gender blender, we need to understand that we are all moving on a continuum. This is not a binary world anymore. This is a continuum and a fluid one. One that we all move upon through our lives. And I want the first person that feels that he or she were not too feminine or too masculine in some part of their life to rise up and walk away, because I think we all felt at some part of our lives, in some area of our life, like we're too masculine or too feminine for what society's norms think we should be. Furthermore, I know I am much more feminine in some areas of my life and much more masculine in others than I was 10 years ago. I call that evolution. So this continuum is fluid and we move upon it in different parts of our lives all through our lives. We've learned that water and earth are both feminine and air and fire are both masculine, but I want to suggest that the only true masculine element is fire. That's the beginning, that's the bang, that's the spark. After that initial spark, it was met by the only feminine element, which is water. And when these two interacted, earth and air were produced from that interaction. Indeed, the only way that earth is ever produced to this day is by fire being chilled and cooled down by water. We can still see that happening in places that they have active volcanoes pouring into the sea, turning the lava into new ground that is the most fertile ground after a few years. So I want to suggest that Earth is truly androgynous. It has a male core, but a female appearance and characteristics. And we can allocate it or say it's pretty much like male to female transgender people. It has a core, which is male, but on the outside, it's already female. But through this process, one more thing happened. When water touched fire, water was heated by fire, creating gas and fumes, which we call air. And this element is, according to me, androgynous. It has male characteristics, but a female nucleus. And we can see that in the ancient glyphs that are much more ancient than astrology itself. You can see how both earth and water have the downward placing triangles, but we can see that earth and air both have another line, and that line could say two things. It can say that with earth, this is the plane of earth, of the ground, and with air, the plane of heaven, the sky. And it can also symbolize a relic of that old nucleus, of that other triangle that was there before this change ever took place. And indeed, we find ourselves in a new brave world where people do not identify as male or female anymore. There's a plethora of identities, as I said before. For many of us, this is confusing, and I hope that this presentation is going to make a little sense for you people that are a bit confused out there.